Hi and welcome to Strange Sense Tutorials. Today we're talking about linear potentiometers and how to set them up. What we have in front of you is a MS13M, so it's a 13mm diameter body with a 50mm stroke length. We've got this in a terminal box just to connect it up to the data acquisition itself. But as you'll see here, it's a 3-wire potentiometric device. So we have positive and negative, and then we also have yellow, which is the actual output itself. From a stroke point of view, if you want to do 0 to 5, if you were to reverse the positive and negative, you get 5 to 0, so you can actually reverse the outputs. And as we say, we've got this set up at 5 volts, but you can go up to around about 30 volts full scale, because it's potentiometric. It's going to be 0 to 30 volts. Ultimately, that's going to be about the maximum voltage you would want to use. Most common is either 5 or 10 volts. What we're showing here, this is our instruction manual, is that the stroke length, whilst it may be 50mm, the electrical travel and the mechanical travel is slightly longer than the stroke length itself. So just to try and demonstrate the differences, what we're trying to do though is that at the moment this is set at full scale, so 4.999 volts. But what we are going to do, we do have slight mechanical adjustments on the actual rod end itself, so there can be slight adjustment you can make here. The other end is fixed, but when we do the stroke we do it electrically. So what we do to start with is we find the electrical centre, which is going to be 2.5 volts, and as much as my fat fingers will not be able to find it immediately, there, give or take. Now that's going to be 25mm. So what we do then is going to be stroke in. Okay, and that's going to give you then the full scale, and then if you stroke out, you're looking for the 50mm, which is going to be down to the 0 volts, 0.1 of a volt there. So there's slight hysteresis or slight adjustments at the top and at the bottom. What we've got here today is a sprung-loaded linear potentiometer with a potentiometric output. 3 wires, so we have plus and minus, and then the yellow is the output itself. What we're going to try and do here is to show you now the actual setup of the linear potentiometer, because you'll see the stroke length. This one particularly is a 50mm stroke length, but you'll see the electrical travel is 100% of the range plus 1mm, and the mechanical travel is 100% of the range plus 2mm. What that means is that we're trying to overcome a slight amount of hysteresis with the spring on the front end and make sure that the actual stroke is 50mm long. So that gives you an idea of the actual setup itself. What we've done here, by the way, linear potentiometer, little interface box connected up to the Devatron A4 data acquisition. So I'm just going to show you now. So we just set this up with just analog digital bar charts. Now the actual potentiometer though, you'll see at full stroke is not actually making any measurement at all. So inside here there's going to be a conductive track which is slightly larger, it's 51mm than the actual stroke length, which is 50mm. So the actual way of setting these up is using the electrical setup, not mechanical. So what we're trying to do here is that we're going to go to 2.5 volts, so it's set up as 0 to 5 volts full scale. So we're going to go to 2.5 volts, which will be our electrical centre, give or take about there. And then what we're going to do, that's going to be 25mm. We stroke up, we're going to get up to the 50mm, and we stroke down, we're going to get to the full scale, which is 50mm. So that's how you set these particular units up. Thank you very much indeed.